Hi everyone, welcome to number 3 of the Jamstack Incubation Engineering Weekly Update. In the last update I demonstrated a wrapper around the source editor that allowed to do two things. One, print YAML from a JavaScript object similar to JS-YAML's dump function, but extended with the ability to add certain properties as comments. And number two, highlight certain sections in the editor as triggered by events. Since the last update, I've refined this and created a source editor extension. The extension is currently in this MR. This extension is now using the version 2 of the YAML package as opposed to JS-YAML, but that gives me a whole bunch of new interactive capabilities. Thanks to this package, I can now not only stringify JavaScript objects, but I can also parse existing YAML files and get an abstract syntax tree, or AST, that the extension exposes and that I can interact with. The extension now adds 5 important methods to the editor. 1. The setDataModel function can be passed a JavaScript object. This will be stringified into a YAML in the editor. 2. The highlight method accepts a path to any node inside the YAML and then adds a line highlight behind that property. This is equivalent to what we had before, but now it also works with YAML that has been constructed before outside of this extension. Number 3, the getDoc and setDoc functions basically are an interface to the AST exported by the YAML package. So this exposes all the functionality that the YAML package offers, like functionally adding comments, updating nodes, anything really. And number 4, the locate function. This is actually mostly used just internally by the highlight function, but I can imagine it being useful on its own, so I made it public. Similar to highlight, this function accepts a path to a node and returns the first and last line number of that node inside the YAML. The YAML package itself adds the ability to functionally add comments. In this extension, I've also added the enable comments constructor option that allows comments to be declaratively injected using the data model. The syntax for that declaration hasn't changed, but the implementation now uses entirely the YAML package for stringifying. So I think this is way more stable. Thanks to Lucas iPad who suggested that implementation. I mentioned that pattern already in the last update, but here it is again. When passing an object to the setDataModel method or to the model option in the extension construction, that object can have certain keys that denote that a property is a comment. For example, if an object has a hash sign as a key, this will be interpreted as a generic comment and injected before the first property of the object. If it starts with a hash, then a pipe and the key of another property, it will be interpreted as a comment to that property and injected before that. In arrays, it's a bit simpler. If we have a string that starts with a hash, that string will be converted to a comment at the position it was defined in the array. I do hope this extension will be a useful resource way beyond the pages area. I know I got a lot of feedback, positive feedback in the last video. So let me know if you have any more feedback or questions about how I implemented this. I'm open to comments. On another level, I think with this extension I was going a little bit down a bit of a rabbit hole. So just to keep some kind of perspective on all the other Jamstack areas that I'm currently thinking about. I'm usually spending a couple of hours per week on keeping an eye on other issues that I'd like to address at some point in the future. One of those things that I'm very concerned about on a high level right now is putting pages behind a CDN. I know our next release has a per source rate limiting for access to pages, which is a measure of protecting GitLab. But the ideal solution I hope to see at some point is using a CDN like Cloudflare or Fastly in front of pages. That'll not only get the pressure off the GitLab service, but it will also boost performance for users outside the US a lot. At the moment, I'm mostly just investigating the history of the relation between CDNs and GitLab and trying to come up with ideas on how to implement it with pages on a very high level. If you have any input, let me know. There's the CDN epic in the Jamstack project where I'm collecting up just ideas. Another item that came up in October was the Jamstack Conf hosted by Netlify. It's actually targeted more to end users, but it's a really great resource to see where people are at, what are the upcoming issues. I'm currently working through some of the recordings, and I hope I can put together a summary of the parts that are relevant to us at some point. There's, again, this Jamstack Conf issue in the Jamstack Meta project. I'll update that as I go along. Let me know for any feedback again. Again, this was it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the update, and I'll see you next time. Bye.